Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BS session number 75. I once caught a fish this big, doesn't hold a candle to some of the stories you hear at the average gun show. Here's just a few of our favorites.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
Well, hey.
Hey.
Howdy.
It's doing that thing again where all I can hear is the voices and none of the music in that. That's weird. I don't know.
Is that maybe because of me? I don't know.
Hmm.
Because I haven't been here in a while, and if you've been able to hear it, it must be me.
Yeah, it was good for a bit. I'm not sure what the heck is going on, but anyway.
You heard the music, right?
All right.
I heard the music.
Yeah, he's just old.
He's just used to listening for the voices inside of his head anyways.
Well, let's not get into that. That's a deep, dark hole that none of us want to see.
I got a question. What you guys been up to for the last 4 weeks?
My usual. At least I put an end to my home renos. I'm not going to say I'm done because I'm not, because I could a few paint.
You're just not going to do anymore.
Oh man, I had to call it. It was just it's just paint touch-ups is what I have left to go, and painting the baseboards, but I'm going to do that outside on sawhorses in the summer. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And then of course all my tools clean up and all the drywall and mud dust that seems to get everywhere, despite how well you thought you taped things off and polyed off and whatever else. But other than that, it's the usual work and caring for some elderly relatives. So that's my story. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Derek?
Working away. Just got back from Yellowknife a couple weeks ago.
Derek, when you go to Yellowknife, what do you do there? Because I mean, nobody vacations in Yellowknife.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, actually, a lot of Asian tourists vacation in Yellowknife.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, there too.
It is a sail thing. The Aurora, the dog sledding. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah,
there's a cultural infatuation with the Aurora Borealis in a lot of Asian cultures, so it's a big selling point.
But you can see the Aurora from Whitehorse pretty good too, and I've been to both places, and I'm sorry to say, Yellowknife is not the town that Whitehorse is.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm more of a Yellowknife guy.
Are you really?
Whitehorse just seems too hipster to me.
Well, you know, you're not wrong about that. Last time I was there was in 2018, and it wasn't always hipster, but it definitely seems to have attracted that element.
I think during COVID, a lot of Vancouverites moved north. Let's just put it that way.
Why do they have to ruin everything?
Yeah. Okay, so sorry. So I never let you finish. What do you do in Yellowknife?
Yes. So I'm a heavy duty mechanic, and I specialize in diesel power generation.
Of which there is a significant amount in Yellowknife.
Yes, yeah, in Yellowknife and the Northwest Territories in general.
Right.
Specifically Yellowknife now because the recent dry seasons have reduced the water level for their hydro generation. So right now they are running at about 45% diesel power generation of their whole generation.
Wow.
Well, that's a lot.
Normally it's only about 10 in the wintertime.
But isn't our illustrious leader going to give them all free heat pumps?
I
know one's power generation, one's heat generation, and the whole thing is bullshit. I'm just trying to take a stab at the Prime Minister, that's all.
Yes, they did get a tax. They did negotiate the carbon tax off of home heating oil, but not home heating propane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Now, how many people up there are using propane versus oil, you think?
It's It's
A lot.
it's majority heating oil. There is definitely a contingent of on propane.
Yeah.
So,
I bet you they're happy.
oh yeah, they're happy. When it first came down, the people on propane made their happiness known.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
How many people are still wood fired up there?
Surprisingly, it's interesting in a lot of the northern communities. You'd be surprised how many people live off grid,
Yeah. Yeah.
like outside of Yellowknife or outside of the other smaller communities. It's ironic. I went to one community where both power plant operators lived off the grid. The little bit of irony there.
You
I
know how
work at the
reliable it
powerhouse.
is.
Let you know
Do
how
not
much faith
consume
they
the
have
power
in the
generated. So
That's funny. Well, when I was
funny.
living in the Yukon, this is the late '80s and into the '90s, but we were 100% wood heated in our home, and we were in the city.
I believe it.
Yeah.
We were on the power grid. It's just
Mhm.
our heat was only wood,
Hmm.
and that was not fun in the morning.
Hmm.
It was great at night.
Well, I've
The
been
house
there.
was super warm at night,
Yeah. Right.
just not in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And Chris,
Well,
what
cool.
have you been up to for the last 4 weeks?
Tell us about the aliens
fuck.
and the probing.
Well, that was a significantly short period of the last 4 weeks.
Oh, thankfully.
So it's probably not even worth mentioning. We'll just pretend it didn't happen.
Okay.
But so I basically went from SHOT Show.
Mm.
I stayed in Vegas for an extra several days with my wife. And then I came home, and I was at home for about a week, a little more than a week. And then I went to Orlando for a team vacation. So what I do with my regular business is I gather a bunch of students every year, and we do team vacations. For the last several years, we've done one to Florida every year. Starting this year, it's Florida in the spring, Hawaii in the fall. So we went on our Orlando trip, and we were driving because it kind of became a thing of mine during COVID. Fuck the airlines, they're a bunch of dinks. So, and I've got a 15 passenger van, so I made it available. So we drove it down there, and just before we left, we swapped our winter tires out for all season tires. I was told by my shop, they said, we swapped the tires out, we drove it around, and then we retorqued them for you, so you won't have a problem. I was like, well, that's cool, because I was planning on stopping
Good
in
to
the
go,
van and
champ.
having them retorqued. So now I don't have to do that. Thank you very much. So I drive all the way down. It's like 4,900 kilometers or something like that, all the way down to Orlando. I'm driving all the way around Orlando for over a week. Then I drive down to Miami. Then I drive all the way down the Florida Keys to Key West, back up to Miami. And then Miami, I'm driving back to Orlando. I'm about 30 minutes south of Orlando on the Florida Turnpike, and I start to feel a little vibration. And I'm kind of looking at the road because, the roads aren't always great. And I'm like, is this the road here? And like, now I'm in the left-hand lane of a 2-lane highway. About 3 feet of my nose is beside the tractor trailer that's in the right lane beside me. And I'm doing about 82 miles an hour, which is about 135 kilometers an hour, give or take. And so I'm feeling this little vibration. I'm kind of looking at the road, trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden, it's a massive vibration. So I grab both hands on the steering wheel and I go, fuck. And I had enough time to I had enough time to say fuck before my rear passenger side on the van dropped down. And I was hearing, you know the noise I'm hearing, and it starts fishtailing on me. So luckily, I'm able to keep the fishtail under control. It naturally slowed me down, so the truck passed me by, and I'm working my way over to the right-hand lane, and I work it to a stop on the side of the road, and I sit there, and I've got 6 teenagers and 3 adults in my van, and everybody's just like, "What happened?" And I don't even answer them. I go, "Motherfucker!" And I get out of the car on the fucking turnpike. These tractor trailers are passing me left, right, and center, like 3 feet from my face. And I walk around to the side, and there's no wheel. There's a tire somehow the tire got caught around the e-brake cable
Mm.
and it kept it
Oh,
attached to the vehicle. So I still had my tire, but I had no wheel, I had no hub, I had no lugs. It just tore the whole thing right off.
Even the hub.
unreal.
Yep. Took the whole thing off.
Wow.
So that was
Is that a
frustrating.
3/4 ton van? Like, is it a
It's
2,500?
it's basically an E350.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's 1 ton, isn't it?
1 ton. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's a 15 passenger van built on an E350 chassis. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
E350 extended cab long box chassis
Right.
because it's the
Okay.
15 passenger. So anyway, that happened, and then I spent the next what did it end up being 8 days, A, arguing with SGI, B, dealing with Pet Boys in St. Cloud, Florida, which is a southern suburb of Orlando, and I had to rent a van and drive all of my teenagers 3 days back to Saskatoon, immediately turn around 3 days back, so 6 days straight, back to Orlando, and then waited an additional 2 days for the van to get repaired. And then me and my employee / business partner, Josh, loaded up the big van, and we drove Orlando to Minot in one sitting, stayed overnight in Minot, and then 6.5 hours home the second day, Minot to Saskatoon. So,
You're crazy, man. Driving those
Yeah.
distances in one shot.
well, to be fair, I did not drive the whole way to Minot. I drove
Oh, no.
from Orlando to the northern Illinois, Wisconsin border. And then I crawled into the back of a empty 15 passenger van, and I slept for 4 hours. And then I drove again for 6 hours, slept for about 3.5 hours, and then drove like 2.5 hours to Minot.
Yokohama.
It was a trip, man. It was a trip. And so now I've
Doing this.
the repairs cost a little over $11,000 Canadian, and they're not done yet. They just did the mechanical stuff. Like it fucked up some of the steel. It broke the rear bumper, like the plastic bumper. So there's still more repairs to go. And what SGI didn't cover came out to just under $5,000 Canadian additional that I have to go to that shop, and I'm going to try to get them to pay that additional $5,000. So right now, because I haven't been reimbursed by SGI yet either. Right now, I'm $16,000 into the van. So that's
Happy
how
days.
my couple of weeks have gone.
Mhm. Pricey.
So,
I'm going to stop whining about rentals.
Mhm.
No, I won't.
no, you won't. The worst part is, like, I haven't even seen a gun since SHOT Show.
Right.
So that's been fun. I haven't listened to any of the episodes you guys have been doing either. So
Well, welcome back. We're glad
Yeah.
you're here.
Right.
thanks. I've got some catch up to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I got back on Friday, and then on Saturday we had the Saskatoon Gun Show. Thankfully, Rooster, you did the majority of the heavy lifting for that. So I appreciate
Mhm.
that.
All good. It's good to have you there for 3 hours.
Yeah, was I even there for 3 hours? I think I was there for like
I
2.
don't think you were, but
I showed up
I'll
like just
I'll
before
give you
3
that.
o'clock, and the show ended at 5. I didn't even pack up. I just said, "Hey, you guys got this," and I just left.
Yeah. I haven't seen my wife for a month. I'm like, just go.
Go. Yeah, I know
Pretty
we
sure
have a
we can do
solid
the grunt work.
relationship now because we've been through that. So. Anyway, enough of that shit.
Yeah.
We heard some funny stories at the
We did.
gun show on the weekend.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
we should probably cover a couple of things. First of all, that this is pre-recorded, so we are not
Oh, yeah.
live right now. So there's people typing into the chat and everything,
last
and
15
nobody's
minutes.
responding at all. So, I think. Well, Chris, you're off somewhere tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night, Friday
I
night.
was supposed to be. My employee slash business partner was supposed to be taking a Muay Thai fight in Lethbridge.
That's right. Yeah.
But while in Orlando, waiting for the van to get fixed, he was stranded. He was training with our team there. He ended up with a pretty major staph infection, and he's got about an 1/8 inch deep hole in his leg right now.
Oh my God!
So
Really?
They're
he nasty.
He can't fight. So he had to pull out. But we had already like committed to doing this pre-record tonight. So here we are.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
and
couldn't
I'm
do it
off
tomorrow
to,
night anyways, could you?
No, I'm off to Calgary tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
Friday morning, for a baby's birthday, whatever, family
Ridiculous.
stuff.
I suppose me and Derek
I
could have
know.
done tomorrow, but
I would have been heading out to the bush north of Swan Hills for our not so winter camping trip. So
Oh,
yes,
that sounds
it'd be
like
more
fun.
like spring summertime camping trip. With
So it
snow
is a
and
good thing we're recording tonight then.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Good. What
all
are
right.
you doing?
And then aside from that, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's take care of our sponsors. But Derek, finish your story first. Your winter-ish camping excursion.
Yes, so that the plan is we're heading out this weekend to north of Swan Hills, Alberta, to do some
Where's
winter
that?
camping. It's
Where-
basically south of Slave Lake, Great Slave Lake.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry, Lesser Slave Lake.
Wow.
Other Slave Lake.
Okay.
I'm used to the bigger Slave Lake now.
Do you know why they call it Slave Lake?
So it is fed by the Slave River, and there are the Slavey people there. So there's North Slavey and South Slavey people.
Is that
So I'm
an
not sure
English
where
word,
the-
or does it just sound like an English word?
See, I have not clarified that. Not sure.
Hmm.
But regardless,
it's-
a friend and I made a number of years back, we made a winter outfitters tent, but we made it out of insulated tarps. He has a industrial, like a industrial leatherworking sewing machine. So we
Okay.
made that, and then probably 3 winters ago now, I welded up I call a high performance winter stove. So we have set that up in -30, and it has been plus 27 inside the tent.
Wow.
So, and it puffs up like a balloon at that weather because of the hot air. It
Yeah.
literally looks like an orange blimp. So
That's cool.
yes.
So that sounds like a lot of fun. I don't blame you for going to do that.
Mm-hmm. The heat
End up
will
getting
not be
picked
needed
up
this
for
weekend,
squatting.
So
Yeah.
Is this
What's
on
the forecast
Crownland,
out there for this weekend?
a Sunday is supposed to, I think, it's be the high is plus 16, and the lows aren't even below freezing. But that's in the town.
You're kidding.
North
Okay,
of town in the bush, and we're by a creek. It'll definitely still get into the negatives. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but it won't be
But
minus
still,
30.
yeah.
no.
Right.
So is this on Crown land or private land?
Yeah, this will be on Crown land.
Crown land.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. There won't be a whole
Very
lot
cool.
of private land around there, I don't imagine.
No.
Right.
Fair
It's
point.
God's country.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You know,
All right. Well, let's
All
pay
right.
some bills.
should we get in? Yeah, you betcha. All right. Tonight's show, every show that we do, is brought to you by our friends at EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a bill today at emprifles.ca.
And also Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com. Just offer them
Offer
coffee.
money and they will offer coffee.
Yes.
Right.
Good exchange.
Yes. Hey, do you want to
Call
read the next
sign?
one? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Call sign.
I act like this is your first time. Like you're basically a veteran now.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm
No,
not the new employee anymore.
I'm going to stop interrupting
That's
you. and
right.
let you read
Okay.
This.
Now I have to start all over again. Look what you did. Call sign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course now at callsign66.ca.
Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
And Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Check out all the fine competition rifle scopes and binoculars and accessories and everything else at apexoptics.co.
Ribstone Gunsmithing. Craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
Almost any firearm. I saw a few come through that show this weekend that was like, you're going to use that as a tire iron or something, right?
That one was hilarious, and it should be included in things you hear at the show, because this guy stops and he's talking to us instead of Oscar, and he's talking about like I wonder if that guy can identify my shotgun. It was built sometime in the 1800s, and it's a double barrel, and it's got, what did he say? It has all the proofing marks on it. And then he's looking
That's
in his phone, and he's going to show us the pictures. I'm like, why? Like, Oscar's right there.
Yeah,
and by the way,
I know.
he does gun restoring. He's not like some historian expert on all things, although he probably told him what it was. But anyway.
Yeah, you know what,
Oscar,
right. He does have a lot of knowledge in that respect. But our tables were right close to each other, and we were kind of in each other's space a lot. And well, how people are, they just make assumptions. It's like, how many times have you been in a hardware store or something like that, and somebody comes up and I was looking for I don't know, a widget for my toilet or something. I'm like, that is fantastic. I hope you have luck with that.
Well, thank you for telling me, sir, but I don't give a shit.
I've been approached, I don't know how many times. I should just get nasty ridiculous and have somebody say, I'm going to talk to your manager. That's a great idea.
Call him a cunt while you're over there.
Tell him I quit.
Tell him I quit.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We're also brought to you by the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18 and indoor range, training courses, and new 6-lane axe throwing bay. It's not so new anymore. I suppose that's been up there for the past 6 or 7 or 8 months, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, go see their 6-lane axe throwing bay. And the One Shot, One Spill Cafe. You can find the Shooting Edge on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and on their website at theshootingedge.com.
And finally, March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Nisa at marchscopes.ca.
Indubitably.
I feel like I haven't read those in a while.
Yeah. It's been a while. Holy shit. Anyway, I'm sure we'll survive. So some of the things we've heard. I got this brilliant idea partway through talking to one fella at the Saskatoon Gun Show this past weekend. It was really entertaining. I thought, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I looked over at Jens and said, damn it, I should write some of these things down, because there are some things that come out of some people's mouths that you don't know whether to laugh or screw up your face and say, are you on something right now? Or take me to that person that told you that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they're the person
right
that made it up.
Well, no, there's that too. There's always been lore associated with firearms and shooting sports and everything, right? So
yeah, that's all true.
Anyway, I just thought I did manage to type some of them out into my little notebook thing app part of my phone. You're having some difficulties there, Chris?
I'm having a few difficulties. You carry on. I'll fix this.
Some physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping you guys can expand a little bit on my list, but just um, I can't remember. This first one is really something. The guy came along and of course he wanted to know about the rifles that Jens and I had up there. We got a couple of nice small caliber precision rifles, and then my 33XC we had up there, and of course everybody says, "Is that a 50?" And I mean on the outside, like it's just a large machine.
Yeah.
And
You can't blame people for
and,
asking that question.
no,
It
you
is a
can't. Not at
pipeline.
all.
Yeah.
Right. So no, we explained to him what that is. Well, you guys must be over that energy limit, right? I said, no, we get awfully close, but we don't exceed it. That's the reason why we went with this caliber. And this fella says, yeah, I can't remember what gun it is exactly, but yeah, my buddy's 223 is over that energy limit. I said, oh, do you mean the 10,000 joule muzzle energy limit that we're supposed to stay under? Yeah, that's the one. Did you? I'm sorry. Did you say 223? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
you should see that
it's
thing.
because of it's because of the type of gun it is. I'm like, that I suppose that probably makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Carry on.
that 48-foot barrel. That's what does it. It just
Yeah,
has
that
so
one.
much room to build up that speed of that bullet.
I think it's the Ruger Particle Accelerator 5000.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
use it also
Yeah.
for photons too.
You're gonna
here as well too.
Oh,
you're gonna
Yeah.
see that in a lot of guns in the next couple of years because I hear Ruger's patent is running out on that.
Mhm.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
The reality
It was
is,
funny,
you just misheard
Yeah.
him, or he misspoke. One of the two. It wasn't his 223.
Possibly.
It was his 2223.
Oh shit.
Yes.
That's 2.223. It's
I misplaced the decimal.
Mhm.
yeah. It's a 2.25 inch diameter bullet.
Mhm.
But it's funny how some people are. They just like this guy was a good example. They came along, or this fellow with a couple of buddies came along and asked the question, and spewed this knowledge upon us,
Mhm.
smiled, and just left. It was like
Yeah.
that's all he wanted to do. He
It
just
makes you
wanted
wonder.
to impart some very important knowledge on us, and
It
like
kinda
it
makes
was
you
his job
wonder.
for that day.
Yeah, job done. It makes you wonder though. Does he not? Does he not quite know? And to this day, he's blissfully unaware of what he said, or did he realize like 10 minutes later? Did I just fucking actually tell that guy that?
The fuck did I tell that guy?
And then he like
Stupid.
quickly ducked out of the show because he didn't want to run into you again because he realized what he actually said and he was hyper embarrassed about it.
Oh, you know what? While I think of it, there was one other. I actually had quite a lengthy conversation with one fellow that talking 223 versus 556, and he has a 223 that has a did he say a 10-inch twist? Anyway, somebody
Yeah.
at the show told him that because he was shooting 50 grain bullets and it didn't group worth a shit.
Okay.
One of the vendors told him, oh, well, you got way too fast a twist to shoot those bullets. And I said as soon as he said that, I'm like, point this guy out to me.
So what about all the guys with the 1 and 8 twist barrels? They're in big trouble.
They're
You're
just
right.
separating bullets as soon as they come out of the muzzle.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
It's just dust.
Yes.
Stop shooting those super frangible 22 Hornet bullets in your 223.
Well, it does go to show you though, it's not just people show goers. Like if vendors are telling people this, like
Yep.
you need one of those standard 1 and 16-inch twist AR-15 barrels.
Right.
That'll sort you out.
Well, to be somewhat fair, I suppose there was kind of a long-standing sentiment, I suppose, among a lot of, especially old school shooters, that you can, and to some degree, I suppose it may have some truth, but over stabilizing a bullet is how it was
Mhm.
written or said or whatever.
Which seems weird when you think about it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure how you overstabilize a bullet. You overstabilize a bullet to the point where it upsets stabilization
It's
and
like,
then it's destable.
could you imagine if they took the
Mm.
same tact for like trains? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa! This train is way too
No,
stable.
can't have it. No, sir.
I can only
Let's take out a
imagine.
wheel or two.
Yeah, exactly. I need to see at least 3 times the wobble in this train.
Uh, so I've got a pair of comments here, tying into each other, both from the same guy. Really
Okay.
quite interesting. This guy was going off about a 300 Win Mag that he had built, and he's quite proud of it, which is fantastic. But he said, "Yeah, I got the whole thing done. You know, my barrel was cryo dipped, 24 hours." It's like everybody knows that that's exactly how long you cryo dip a barrel, whatever cryo dipping, whatever that is supposed to mean to those who know, I suppose. I don't know. And he went on to say, I custom spec'd all the dimensions for my 300 Win Mag. And I can't remember exactly how he said it, but I got this whole thing custom built and cryo dipped my barrel 24 hours, which allowed me, I think is what he said. It tied in very tightly with it allowed me to custom spec all the dimensions for and he was talking about the
Mm.
chamber.
The cryo dipping allowed him to custom spec it.
Now I don't know whether he was talking about the cryo dipping allowing for the custom dimensions or the fact that the entire thing was fully customized, that it lent to him being able to move you know add an extra millionth of a thou into whatever tolerance in his chamber dimensions. So
Wow.
I'm sure it shoots wonderfully though.
Yes.
You know, I had
He-
a great uncle that he made it rich, and when he died in the 80s, he got cryo dipped. He's been cryo dipped for about 40 years now. You should be able to custom spec the hell out of him.
Can't you get nice like small, medium, and large cryo dipped cones at Dairy Queen?
Oh man, I want that so bad. I want a cryo dip cone. You know, their blizzards are
They're
cryo
expensive
dip.
though.
When you get a blizzard, they cryo dip them so and custom spec them so good they can turn them
You
upside
see,
down.
right?
And fall out.
How else
Not
are you going to
moving.
do that? That's right. Yeah, 24 hours.
Cryo
I like
dipping
the
is-
idea too of the custom specking. It's like, how much really do you need custom? Like, did he specify like a 52.5-degree bolt throw? He's like, you know what? Not 45, not 60,
Right.
90s. That's way too much. 52
I
and a half
know it's a
degree
Remington
bolt
700
throw.
two lug, but I
Yeah.
still want 52.5-degree bolt.
Yes.
Well, it
My
makes
wrist
me
is
wonder.
not moving any more than 53 degrees.
That's right.
That's
Not
it.
having it.
I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Guys, custom does not have to mean consistent.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's true.
I'm just, I mean, I'm spitballing because clearly none of us have any
Right.
idea what he was talking about. But
Mhm.
I custom build a turd every morning fairly reliably at 8-ish a.m.
but it's not always the same one.
No.
No, that's right.
They have different diameters depending on how much fiber you had the previous 18 hours
Correct.
and whether you were cryo dipped or not.
I'm not cryo dipping my turds. No.
Yeah. Well, I'm lactose intolerant, so when I cryo dip my ice cream, it definitely changes my custom specs.
Oh no.
Should
All
we
right,
move on
there's
from this one?
Your barrel speeds
sure
up, is
there
what
there
you're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
right.
And it puts my TP3 right over that 10,000 joule limit.
Yeah, I got to watch the heat though. Anyway, another fella came along and he was an older guy. You could tell he was 100% all his life a hunter and there I've always said there's a difference between hunters and shooters. Not in all cases, of course, but the, there's a distinction to be made in most cases, I think.
Typically, they're
So
two different categories. Yep.
yeah. So this one fellow with a couple of buddies came along and again is at a 50 looking at my 33XC. So we indulged and told him exactly what it was and he's looking at the case and it's like 7 mil. I'm like, it's a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay. Well, looking at these, the 7 mil, the 300 Win Mag, this 33XC, they're all basically the same. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty close, I suppose. Yeah.
They all go bang.
Mhm.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. They're all fun. So, he says, yeah, I've got a 300 rum, Remington Ultra Mag, right? Or 338 rum, I guess is what he said. I said, oh yeah, that's a big boomer.
Basically a
That'll
7
rock
mil.
some teeth. Well, maybe he had one of
Basically a
those as well. I don't
223.
know. That's right. So he's
10,000 kilo.
he's very very enamored by his 338 rum, and sure, great. And so he goes on to tell me, or I said to him, he was telling me some glory stories. I said, oh yeah, what velocity are you getting out of that 338 Ultra Mag? He says, oh, 3,400 feet a second. I'm like, whew, that's cooking. Good for you. That's awesome. What are you running in your 33, whatever this is? I'm like, about 3185. Oh, I said, well, I guess Jens, we better switch up to the 338 rum.
Just can't compete.
And he also goes on to say, yeah, this one time, I'm reading it kind of pretty much verbatim here. He says, we're at a gravel pit and there's a rock half the size of your torso buried halfway in this gravel pit. Took a shot at it with the 338 rum, hit it. It picked it up, spun it at a quarter turn and set it back down in the same hole. Now that's fucking power. Without a doubt, it is. That is something else.
I'm sorry I missed that joke. I froze for some reason.
Yeah, you were frozen.
I'm pretty sure that's the Acme ammunition that he was using out of the wooden crate with the Roadrunner on the side.
I should have asked him if he heard a meat ape.
Those Acme
was
loads, they're pretty spicy, I gotta tell you. Yeah.
I'm telling you, do some wonderful things. Yeah, picked it up, spun it a quarter turn, set it back down in the same hole. My job here is done today. Then there was another fella, young guy, really enthusiastic. Yeah, that's a 338 rock turner.
It actually sounds like a cool cartridge.
Kinda.
Not bad, not a bad name.
The Ultra Mag rock turner. Another young guy, really enthusiastic, he thought he wanted to get into importing guns and stuff like that, and he just hung around and talked. It's like he wanted to talk to somebody that knew guns, which is good. I mean, that's part of the reason we go to these shows, right? And he was trying to hold a conversation and asking about the scopes. Jens had a couple of his Schmidt and Benders on his rifle sitting there, and he was quite enamored with that. So he's looking at them, and it's you know what, MRAD, that gets you on target, but mo something just gets you close. And we said, oh, MOA, yeah, that's it. He says, MOA is more like guessing. Yeah, MRAD gets you on target. MOA is more like guessing.
Fuck those MOA guys.
Right, you are, Ken.
MO something
Yeah.
just is like guessing.
MO
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
I do generally just
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Now that has nothing to do with using an MOA scope, but I do generally just guess.
Educated guess.
Yeah. You know what?
I appreciate
kinda
that you're
funny.
giving me the benefit of the doubt, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure how educated it even is.
Mm.
I am using MOA after all, and
Yes.
MO something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Favorite
This is silly
abbreviation I
me.
heard is MOA. I've never
MOA.
heard that
Yeah.
one before. I heard that in a match
I
once.
heard it once.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's when you have one of them full semi-automatic guns and you just MOA
Mhm.
people down.
yeah.
So this guy was trying to talk scopes and that, and I said, well, I started out, and as soon as the first couple of words came out of my mouth, I'd like, you know what, just shut up. But I was like, well, both MRAD and MOA are just simple angular measurements of just different units,
Mhm.
and luckily somebody else interrupted me and asked me a question. I'm like, thank you. There's really no point in trying to teach some people, I think. So
Unfortunately, that question was
yeah.
identical to the previous one.
Please go on.
I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was something completely off the wall. Oh, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, right. So another guy came along and again looking at Jens's Schmidt and Bender scopes and asking a bunch of questions and that, and really interested in that. And he said, yeah, you know what? I used to have one of these, and he told a long elaborate story of how he obtained this rifle with this scope on it, and that it got stolen. But yeah, well, thanks for that. He says, I couldn't remember the name of that, but yeah, now I do. Yeah, I used to have one of those old Smith and Bender scopes.
Okay, but
That's
hold on
the
now.
one. Good scope.
Hold on now. Technically speaking, he just gave you the English translation.
Well, I suppose. Yeah, it was just funny though. Yeah, the old Smith and Bender. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Americanized glass.
Well, yeah, those are the Schmitts that are made in the U.S.
Oh,
They're all the scopes that came over on the Mayflower.
right. Yeah, packed up right next to the stack of cannonballs. Do
Yeah.
you remember what they're stacked in?
They're stacked in MOA.
Right.
When you
At a
see
52.5-degree throw.
yeah when you see a grouping of cannonballs, it's like a murder of crows. It's called a MOA of cannonballs.
Right.
Interesting. So now MOA back then, because there's only the sundial, was a much coarser value.
Right.
They didn't have minutes, they just had hours on the sundial. So it was a HOA.
Shit.
All those cannon
Well
operators
played,
and
sir.
the
This next one, Chris, I forgot about this from last year's show.
Okay.
That was a gem. You need to tell that one.
Oh, the quote. So
Yeah.
the quote is, I heard
Hey,
somebody behind me
bro.
say, "Hey, bro," and I turned around, loaded and ready to go. So that's the quote. The story is I had a rifle blow up in my face.
Yeah.
And I went over I couldn't see my own face, but it was kind of numb. And I knew I touched my face and there was a little bit of blood. So I knew something was going on. So I walked over to the range next to me because there was nobody on my range. and I walk over to the guy and I go, and I think that exactly what I said was like, "Hey bro, can you take a look at my face for me? My gun just blew up and I can't tell if my face is messed up or not." And the guy just turned around and he looked at me. He's like, "Oh yeah, you got a little bit of blood on you there." And, so the rest of the story there is really kind of inconsequential. But last year at the gun show, we're sitting there, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "Hey, did you have a gun blow up in your face last year?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, that was me that you came over to." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then he decides he's telling his kids and whoever would listen at the table about how he was at the gun range, and some dude just came up behind him and said, "Hey, bro." And I turned around, loaded and ready to go. Like, who fucking calls me bro? Nobody calls me bro. I was gonna fuck him up. And I was, this story just took a left turn. And
It's not even the worst
all
part
of
of
a
the
sudden now-
story.
Mhm.
The,
Fight
the
somebody
worst
at the
What
part,
am I
range.
forgetting? What was it? Tell me.
the worst part, at least in my opinion, was that he told the story at least a half a dozen times, and he hung around, he and his boys, right in front of our table for 30 minutes longer than he really should have. He was getting miles out of
Yeah,
that
well,
story.
he was at the table for 29 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah. He was at our table for about 29 minutes, which telling the story, which was 30 minutes longer than he should have been.
holy smokes. It's like, guys, man, there's
Yeah,
lots of
that
good
was a
things
fun
to
one.
see at this show, hey? Like, you should go see them.
Yeah, you should go see them. Trying to be nice, though.
Yeah. At least he wasn't miserable, I
Hey,
suppose.
Derek, you've got to have some. Tell us some
Basically,
some of the
one
things
thing
you
I
heard at
gotta
some
I gotta
shows.
say for somebody that's never worked a gun show is a kind of a disclaimer. If you're working a booth, be aware that you're basically like a captive animal at a petting zoo, and you have all these strangers
Amen.
coming up to you, and they know you can't run. So I had, for example, I had this Lloydminster gun show. The last show I was at. I was doing a booth promoting the sport of PRS and CRPS, and I was talking about the different precision rifle disciplines. I had a sheet explaining NRL Hunter since it's coming to Canada. Rimfire, centerfire, PRS, etc. And I had this fellow. You can tell, was a very talkative fellow. It was a good conversation. It was a good exchange. Taught a bunch. I'm fairly certain it was his daughter that was there with him, and she was probably in her mid-20s, but she was obviously drug along, and you could tell that she was a captive slave to this conversation too. And I saw him going around booth to booth, and he had about a 10-minute conversation at every booth because it's basically a free-for-all of conversation. Because you know the vendor's not going to leave their booth. So for somebody that's lonely and wants a conversation, that will happen to you. So as a forewarning, if you're ever going to work a booth at a gun show, be prepared for those people to come at you and talk.
There is a lot of truth in that. Yeah.
So that's a pro tip in that regard. So
there's also the witnessing
so,
of certain exchanges too, right? It when you're talking about that, it reminded me of a time years and years ago. I was at the Calgary Wholesale Sports, and I knew what I wanted when I went there. They had a CZ 527 in 204 Ruger. It was the only one I knew of in Western Canada at the time, and I wanted one bad, and I was going to buy the damn thing. And so while I was waiting, there was a guy behind the gun counter. A father and son had asked this particular guy, or had said that they wanted to get into reloading, and they made the mistake of asking this jackass what was involved in reloading, what they needed to do. Well, I'll tell you what you gotta do here. It's pretty much that. So he went through a few things, and honest to God, it was like press, and of course you got your powder and your primers and your bullets that you need. Well, what you're gonna have to start doing is you're gonna have to start neck turning those cases, and like these two are hunting. guys. Like he said, Dad said that we're hunters, but we want to start reloading. This fucking idiot starts going off, and I'm standing, 6 feet away. I'm listening to this, and I just couldn't do it. Like Chris, you know quite well my filter or lack of in some cases. It just went like this. I said, "Are you fucking kidding?" And the guy looks over, and I looked at the
Snap!
father.
I
and
lose
son,
it.
Right. Don't listen to this guy. You don't need shit. When he starts talking like that, you don't need any of his advice. And I walked away. I can't stand that shit. You, sir, are a fucking moron.
So you didn't help them. You just let them.
I
know
didn't.
they were
I couldn't.
talking
I
to
couldn't
an
stick
idiot,
around any
and you
longer.
left.
I just. Shit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you have any others you can think of off the top of your head, Derek?
I had another interesting one at the Lloyd Gun Show, and so like I said, I had the different sheets explaining the different precision rifle disciplines, and one I brought up to different people. You could tell if they're hunter, but they had like a sport shooting background or their interest in sport shooting was NRL hunter, because there's going to be 2 matches in Canada, one in BC and one in Alberta. So I kind of thought it'd be good deal to promote that. So I had a list there. NRL hunter, you have power factor, so bullet weight times velocity in feet per second, and it has to be over 380,000. And so I had a good number of people interested. One was an outfitter, which made sense. Guy hunts for a living, but would like to put his skills to his test. And he brought his dad over, and he's like, "Dad, come look at this. This is cool." And his dad brought it up, and I had some sample calibers there of what guys are using. And he's like, "What about this caliber?" I forget what caliber it was, but it was a lighter, faster caliber. And I'm like, you know what? Unfortunately, that wouldn't make power factor. Like it's fast, but the bullets don't weigh enough. And actually, there is a limit of 3,275 feet per second. It's like, oh, it's velocity that kills, though. It's velocity what gets you. That's bullshit. Yeah. Tell him I don't like it. I'm like, you're trying to argue the rules. Like, I don't make the rules here, man. I'm not gonna let you into the match. Like, nah, I met this guy at the gun show. He's gonna run this caliber. No big deal. It's cool. Velocity kills. So I'm like, sorry, man. Like, I don't know what to tell
cool.
you. Like,
Velocity
sorry,
kills.
man. The rules are the rules. So I'm like, why are you arguing with me? I'm just presenting information.
He just made such a compelling argument.
Yes, he's like,
right.
Man, it's velocity that does it, though. Velocity. I'm like,
right, you man. Are. That's when you know you're beat sometimes, velocity.
Right? Yes, you have to accept it. Sometimes you can't out talk a brick wall. So
no, this is true.
Yeah,
I've been married a couple of times. I know.
Eventually, your forehead gets sore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got any other ones, Derek?
I'm just trying to think if there's any interactions, but even the gun show atmosphere, the different people and sightings that you'll see. Like you'll see,
it's akin to the Walmart sightings, but
it is definitely the Walmart
different
sighting.
genre. Yeah,
you can tell there's like, for example, there's a few hermits. Like that's one of the few times they come into the town that's not to go to the co-op or the UFA.
It's like that's very true. Yes,
there's definitely some people there that's the most people they're going to be around all year. You can tell it's like this person definitely lives in a shack by a creek,
right,
and has a 30-30 that they polish every single day.
Yeah.
So
right,
that's
20 minutes in, they've already had their fill of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's funny you say that because
or there's the hermit who really shouldn't be a hermit and has to talk to every single person.
Right.
Yeah.
There was this one old fella that came along and he very much looked like he probably fit that description. Mm-hmm. And like just you could tell he was just a sweet old man. and he talks so quietly. He was so meek, and you could tell like he was just seemed like one of those kind souls, right? And he just wanted to talk. But I had such a hard time hearing him because, the crowd noise and my tinnitus and everything else. And we're, 4 feet apart. He just hung around and wanted to talk. And so I let him talk, and I answered as best I could for what I heard. I got tired of saying, pardon me. And,
Uh-huh.
I picked up some just enough to, you agree, you nod your head, you smile, you giggle a little bit, and he's happy. And he
Yep.
just, well, nice
That's
talking
nerve.
to you,
Yeah.
and off he went. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's
Get the
right.
recognition.
So, yeah.
I
It's
can
good that
honestly
way.
say, when I worked in retail, there was a lot of that as well.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely happens. Yeah.
There's
Okay,
a
so
few
I
others,
got
hey?
another one here.
Yeah, yeah.
This didn't happen recently, but so the quote here is, yeah, I have this gun and it shoots one whole groups at 500 yards all day. I think everybody's heard that one.
Yes. Yeah, it's
I'll
a staple, that one.
I'll
Yeah.
give my best story. This was at a gun store in Edmonton, but it was one of those counter lurkers. You know, those people that'll show up in the gun store for 2 hours and not buy anything.
100%. Yeah.
Lurk around the front counter. Very much so the same people you'll see at a gun show.
Right.
And
Right.
he was sitting on a stool. Like, I'm pretty sure the counter people just offered him a stool to sit on to wait. And guy was wearing coveralls and a plaid jacket with like a giant hole in the side. It was just torn. You could tell he was definitely not the most sophisticated fellow. And again, I remember we're talking. I was picking up some 22s. I do, and we're talking shooting groups and whatever while I was waiting. And he said he showed up to an F-class match casually, like he was just going to the range. And then he saw what the guys were doing. And apparently he joined in the F-class match last minute and shot better than most of the guys there. Apparently he just randomly showed up with his
9mm.
hunting rifle and outshot a bunch of F-class guys. He's like, I don't know what those guys are so worked up about. I shot better groups than most of them.
My Enfield did better than they did.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm like, first of
I
all,
suppose
they wouldn't have just let you in last minute. There's a registration, so that's a full out lie to begin with. Premise.
Yeah,
you might have seen an F-class match once at a range and made this exaggerated story from it. B, definitely you would have shot the worst groups out of anybody there with those F-class shooters having a hangover even. So
right. I suppose most of these stories like this. I think most of the older guys, that don't get out as much as they used to anymore, or something like that. They're not hurting anybody, I guess, are they?
No.
If they get a bit of a giggle or they think they impress somebody, something, it doesn't hurt a damn soul. So what the hell, hey? It is pretty funny though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck. You can do that all goddamn day long. I don't know what you guys make a big fuss out of. But what else you got?
So when we did hear when we did hear on the weekend was these two young guys came up and they were looking at Jens's two rifles with the Schmitz on them, and they were looking at your 33 with the March Genesis on it. And the one guy looks at the other guy and he goes, so that's the kind of scope that you got to put on your rifle. And the other guy looks at him and he goes, bro, it's not a Night Force.
Oh, I missed that.
You missed that?
God.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, if it's good enough for them Navy SEALs, it's good enough for this 20-something, whatever the hell.
That's right. Yeah. Not a hell of a lot wrong
Jens
with
has
the Night
this
Force,
catalog. No, of course not. You know that it was because well, actually so I said to him, I said, a lot of special forces are using Schmidt and Bender, and the guy looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, but Chris Kyle."
Really?
That was just the experience.
My
that he
bro,
had.
Chris Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You mean the guy that's been dead for 12 or 15 years?
I also know I'm lagging.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. I also know I'm
Yeah.
lagging right now, so I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But after they left, Jens hands me the Schmidt and Bender ad, and there's actually a page on the brochure that listed all the special forces groups that are using Schmidt and Bender on. I'm like, well, why didn't you just show them that? And he's like, eh.
Not worth the effort.
Jens has to regulate, because if he actually engages in something like that, there's a fire in that man that I don't think any of us wants to see lit.
And then I'd have to break up a fight between an angry German and two 20-somethings.
That's right. Yeah. You'd probably have them both by the ears or something, dragging them out of there. Skadoosh.
No, I'd help Jens.
I gotta give
I'm
props to
not
the
gonna smack
unsung
Jens.
heroes of the gun show, and that's their beef
Mhm.
jerky and the canned homemade goods vendors. I gotta give it to those two vendors. Gotta give it to them.
Yeah.
Slow applause.
Yeah, and people are worried about cow farts.
The-
The methane after a gun show from the canned goods, the homemade canned goods, probably accounts for a total of 5% of Canada's total emissions for a year.
And the beef jerky too. So that spicy stuff will get to you.
Oh yes, yeah, pickled eggs and such.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that stuff do you guys think would pass the test if like a food inspector showed up?
Oh, I don't know. There's some that are borderline, I'm sure. As long as you don't get handed a waiver before you make the purchase, you're probably okay. Please sign here before you hand over
If
your
they
money.
purposefully don't put a label on it because they don't want you to be able to get in touch with them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody with a van out in the parking lot. Hey, buddy. Come see what I got in these jars.
Do you want to buy some jerky?
Some pickled eggs.
All right. So there's one last
Listen,
one that I have
parts.
on the list. Pickled body parts?
Yeah.
One last one that I have on the list. There's one particular fella that I've known for many years, and he's a regular at the Saskatoon gun shows. He's been an interesting guy, and it's always kind of entertaining talking to him. Last year he hung around. He was one of those guys that hung around our booth for half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that. This year I heard him talking to another guy on Saturday. So the show went Friday afternoon, later into the evening, and then pretty much all day Saturday. So we saw this fella Friday and talked with him a little bit, and then he came around again on Saturday, and he just happened to be talking to a couple other guys out front. And all I heard was, yeah, I only got part way through the show yesterday. Everybody wants to talk to me. It's easy being famous. Okay. Awesome. Do you have a card?
There's famous and then there's famous.
Yeah.
Do you have a card?
But there again, I guess, harmless, really. And if that's what makes him feel good, have at it.
Yeah.
Again, for a gun show is a social experience. Because really, how often
sometimes experiment. Yeah.
Yes. For the most part, how often you're actually buying stuff at a gun show?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you're not getting deals there anyway. Not often, at least.
A lot of people do, though.
Yeah, there's definitely to be had. That Saturday morning rush is the time. So,
yeah.
After that, it's a social experiment.
Yeah.
I
I did have was talking to one guy that was saying that he almost got into like the art of the deal sort of thing. It's disappointing you don't hear people bartering anymore. I think they've lost it, what that's all about, and vendors don't make a lot of sales anymore because people don't know how to barter. They don't know how to make a deal. Like, is that really the reason? Or maybe it's the ridiculous prices on the rifles.
maybe it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it
Maybe they
seems as
expect you to
though
barter
some of
with
them
them,
at
and
least
nobody will
want to.
barter with them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe that is part of it. I don't know. You look at most vendors, and they tend to be older gentlemen. A lot of them, the
Mhm.
majority of them, I would say. So maybe they miss that banter, the barter banter.
Oh, give you $1 for that there rifle.
You gotta have a whistle in there
And if you
somehow.
turn me down, it's just because you don't know how to barter.
You almost sound like that old boy on The Simpsons.
I can't do the whistle though.
No, right?
Oh,
Anyway, that's
Grandpa
all I got.
Simpson?
Mhm.
No, there's some other old guy. Oh, it's been years since I watched The Simpsons.
Yeah, it don't matter
Mhm.
none anyway. I don't know what's
Yeah.
been going on. I've been lagging the entire last half of the show.
Yeah.
Your audio has been pretty good for the most part, so that's good.
Yep. Yeah.
That's good. I've noticed that I'm highly delayed though. Like I say something
Mhm.
and I can go get a drink and take a piss and come back before you guys
Right.
respond to it. So.
Yeah. I think the problem is you're just ahead right now. There's nothing else to you but your head.
Mhm.
Is that what it is?
He was showing it.
That's because I'm black on black.
What's that, Derek?
I
He
was
showing his
before, yeah.
torso
Just so
earlier.
everybody knows that I'm not disembodied.
Mhm.
Oh, there he is.
There. Now everybody knows I'm not disembodied.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
I thought we could go on the road with you or something. The talking head.
Nope. I'm sorry
All
to
right.
disappoint.
Yeah. I'm used to it.
Should we end this shit show?
I think so.
Considering
That's
that
all
I'm
I got.
lagging so bad anyway,
Yeah.
and I think we're out of quotes.
Right. Yeah. You betcha.
All right.
I think we covered
Okay.
it.
Excellent. Chris, you want to take us out?
Well, if that's the case, then hey guys, thanks for watching our pre-recorded episode, and please check us out at Facebook, facebook.com/BS podcast. Find us on YouTube. We are at BS_podcast. Leave us a review on that Facebook thing. Let us know how we're doing. You send us emails if you'd like at info@bspodcast.ca. You can tell us comments. You can tell us whatever you want, really. Just don't send us scams. And as usual, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. We're talking about Shane and Steve, Miles, Carey and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, Oscar and JR, and everybody listening. Thank you very much. Derek, thanks for joining us again.
No problem.
Thanks to everybody, an immeasurable amount. And Rooster, I'm going to let you sign us off because I'm about 16 seconds delayed.
Yeah, you are. You know what? I think this year we're going to ask our sponsors for better internet. All right, everybody.
Well, I need to run a cable up to
Yeah, you do.
this new location is what I need to do.
Crazy. Get Starlink. Call your buddy Elon.
Well, the problem is I'm using wireless instead of
Right.
Ethernet.
Yeah.
The direct.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Sorry we're not live. If you stuck with us this long, again, I'll say we pre-recorded this because we're all pretty damn busy. Derek's going to the bush. Chris was going to an event, but he's going to actually take some time off and maybe be with his wife for once.
Spend some time at home.
And I'm off to Calgary to a place
Well,
I don't want to really go anyway. So anyway, thanks for showing up. We will see you again next week.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.